The Palo Alto Firewall is a fantastic next-generation firewall. That's absolutely true. But if we don't give it the opportunity to actually see the payload information, it can't do half of what it was designed to do. So in order to see that payload information, we need to set up decryption services on the firewall. And this is referred to as SSL forward proxy that can get in between clients on the internal networks and the SSL/TLS sessions that they have established to the outside world. So in our journey in this playlist, we are right here. And again, if you want to jump to this playlist in each of these videos, I have in the description a link for this playlist so you can go ahead and have easy access to all these videos in any order that suits you. So in this video, we're going to configure decryption services so that if the client is going out to the internet and they're using a flavor of HTTPS, so behind the scenes that could be the older SSL or it could be the more current TLS flavors, the firewall effectively, once configured for decryption services, intercept the traffic here, and that'll be session A, and act as a proxy for traffic that's going out to the actual server. We'll call that session B. And the benefit is, for a moment here in the mind of the firewall, it has unencrypted payload information that it can then go ahead and analyze. And even though the term is called SSL forward proxy, what it really is able to do is look at SSL or TLS traffic to get in the middle between the client and the server and to see the data at the application layer of the packets in their non-encrypted form so it can do proper analysis of that traffic and enforce policy. And that way, if we're not allowing things like malware or covert channels from compromised systems out to command and control networks and so forth, by analyzing the application layer correctly, the firewall can do a better job of enforcing policy and preventing that unwanted activity. So let's talk about the game plan for setting this up. I've got a Windows internal CA server here on my network at .100. And that Windows server is running CA services. And this client and all the other clients in my lab network currently trust that certificate authority. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the certificate authority to assign a certificate to this Palo Alto firewall that it can use to re-sign certs. So when this client goes out to a website, when the cert is being returned from that website, the firewall, when that certificate is coming back, the firewall is going to look at that certificate, check it out, make sure it's okay, and it's going to re-sign it and then pass it back to the client. So when the client sees the certificate, it's going to appear to the client that it's been signed by the firewall. So as long as the client's computer trusts the issuing CA who gave that certificate to the firewall, it won't have a problem accepting that certificate as well. And that's known as the forward trust certificate we're going to use as part of SSL forward proxy. Now, in the event that the client is going to a website where the certificate has been revoked or there's another problem with the certificate, when that comes back to the firewall, instead of re-signing it and handing it back to the client with the forward trust certificate, which the client doesn't have a problem with, we are also going to use a forward untrust certificate. And this is a certificate that the client, when it sees it, is going to say, no way, bad news. Because we want to give the client every opportunity to not trust or accept a certificate if the firewall has identified that certificate as not being okay. So not only will the firewall re-sign it with the untrust certificate that it has, but it will also not be trusted by the client. And as a result, hopefully we've trained our users that if you have a certificate error, you should not continue. So we'll need to set up those certificates. I'll walk through that right here on the firewall. And then secondly, we need to set up a decryption policy and a decryption profile to tell the firewall to actually do the decryption for client traffic as it's going to the outside world. So let me walk you through that right now. I should also point out that for a slower paced, more thorough explanation step-by-step regarding setting up the decryption services, please feel free to check out our content at CBT Nuggets, where we go through this process step-by-step at a more logical and more reasonable pace. So here, I'm going to do the whole thing in this single video. So with that said, let's head over to Firewall 19 and let's set up the certificates it needs for SSL forward proxy. So back at the web interface for the firewall, we're going to go to the device tab. And then on the left, there's a section for certificate management. So here with certificate selected, if we click on default trusted certificate authorities, there's, over a couple hundred certificate authorities out on the internet that this firewall trusts. So it trusts not only these certificate authorities, but any subordinate CAs that may have certificates that are signed by these CAs. So if we have an internal certificate authority, like I do in my lab environment, we need to go here to device certificates and import the root certificate from our enterprise CA. In my case, it's my Windows certificate authority. So we'll click on import. I'll click on browse. Earlier, I exported the certificate from my Windows CA server. I named it windowsca.cer. And then we'll name this enterprise CA. And then the file format is base64. So I'll select that and click on OK. So it's importing the certificate. And one other thing I want to do here, let me adjust the columns. I also want to go into the details for that certificate and say, you know what? I also want to trust this as a trusted root CA. So by checking that box, we do that and click on OK. So now that this firewall trusts this CA server, the next thing I want to do is I want to ask this CA server for our own certificate that we can use for re-signing certificates as part of SSL forward proxy. So to do that, we're going to generate a CSR. That's an acronym for a certificate signing request. And to do that, we're going to click here on generate. And for the name, I'm going to call it cert for forward proxy. And then for the common name, I'm going to put the same name here. And a lot of times with certificates, if we're using them for web services or web interfaces, we need to be very careful about having either the correct common name, like a DNS resolved name, or including the subject alternative name down here, either the IP address and or the DNS information as part of a subject alternative name, and that way the clients don't complain if they connect to it. But for SSL forward proxy, we don't have to be concerned with any of that. And then for the sign by, I'm going to go ahead and use the dropdown and choose external authority, which effectively means we're creating a CSR, a certificate signing request. And we could click here on this checkbox for certificate authority, but based on the template we're using over at the CA server, we can also just specify over there that we want this to be a subordinate CA certificate from the enterprise CA. So in my case, because I have that template set up over the CA server, it doesn't matter too much if I check this box or not. All right, so that CSR is generated. We'll click on OK. And then we need to take that CSR over to my CA server. So one way of doing that is to download this certificate signing request by clicking on it to select it. Then down here, we're going to click on export certificate. So it's really exporting the CSR, but that's the link we have, and that's what we're going to use. So we'll say export certificate. That just added that to my downloads folder. So this is the actual certificate signing request. So on my Windows computer, I'm going to do a Control-A to select everything, a Control-C to copy everything, and then let's make a road trip over to our CA server. So here's the interface for my Windows CA server. So I'm going to click here on Request a Certificate, and then click here on Submit a Certificate Request, and then I'll right-click here and paste. So there's our CSR, and here's where I have the template set up where I can say, you know what, I'd like to be a subordinate CA. So I'll choose subordinate CA, and then in the background, I also configured my Windows CA server in my lab to just automatically grant any CSRs that come across. So there's no manual process on this Windows server to automatically issue a certificate. So we'll click on Submit, and boom, that was fast. The certificate you requested was issued to you. I now want to download it. I'm going to use base 64 for everything in this lab. So with base 64 selected, I'll download that certificate. It's called Cert New here in my Downloads folder. Let's go back to the firewall and import that. So back at the firewall, I'm going to go back into this certificate signing request. I'm going to copy this name because we're going to need that again in just a moment. So I'm going to copy that to my clipboard, click on Cancel, and then we'll click on Import. So I clicked on Browse. I grabbed that file that was in my Downloads folder. I also am going to specify this is a base 64 encoded certificate. So I'll select that. And then for the certificate name, I'm going to use the same name as I had here when I created the certificate signing request. And that's what links it together. So I need to use that same name right here. And that's the reason I copied that a moment ago. And now I'm pasting it, and we'll click on OK. All right, so now we've got this certificate for forward proxy. And there's one more step. We're going to click on it and say, you know what? I want to use this as the forward trust certificate that we're going to use as part of our SSL forward proxy. So with that enabled, we'll click on OK. Also here in the usage column, it's showing that this certificate is going to be used as the forward trust certificate. And I also want one more certificate that I want to use for the forward untrust when I get certificates coming back to our clients that we don't want our clients to go ahead and use. So to do that, we're going to click on Generate. And I'm going to call this bad cert stop. And I'm going to copy that. I'm going to make that the common name. And then for the certificate attributes, I'm going to add O and put in stop there. And let me also go ahead and do OU, and I'll put in stop there. And that way, if any clients take a closer look at the certificate, besides having all the warning errors about a certificate they don't trust, they'll also be able to see bad cert stop almost everywhere. And then I'm not going to say I want this signed by my CA that everybody trusts. Instead, I'm going to say I want to be my own certificate authority and click on Generate. So effectively, this is a self-signed certificate. And here it is. So one last thing I want to do is click on that and say I want to use this certificate as the forward untrust. And that way, when certificates come back from servers and there's a problem or issue with that certificate, when I do the resigning and send it back to the client, I'm going to use this certificate, which my clients don't trust. And we'll click on OK. All right, so now we have our certificates in place for the SSL forward proxy. Our next step is to go ahead and to configure a decryption profile. So we're going to click on Objects on the top. On the left, we're going to go down to Decryption Profile under the section of Decryption. So with Decryption Profile selected, there's a default, but I'm going to go ahead and create our own. So we'll click on Add, and we'll call this Our Decryption Profile. And the parts that concern us here are for SSL forward proxy and what are the SSL protocol settings we want to support. So for the demo, let's specify that we want to block sessions with expired certificates coming back from the servers and block sessions with untrusted issuers. And also as far as unsupported modes for HTTPS, let's go ahead and block those as well. And then for SSL protocol settings, you can specify what you want to allow or not allow. So I'll go ahead and take off SHA-1. I'll leave the others that are on by default and click on OK. So in a moment, we're going to configure our decryption policy. And when we do that, it's going to ask us which decryption profile do we want to use. We're going to pick, when we get to that point, we're going to pick this profile that we just set up. So our next step then is to configure the actual decryption policy itself. To do that, we'll click on the Policies tab up on top, and on the left, we'll click on Decryption. There are no rules in our decryption policy by default, so we'll click on Add to create our first rule. And we'll call this rule Decrypt This. And as far as the conditions, we'll say if traffic is entering the firewall on an interface associated with the inside zone, and if traffic is being forwarded out of an interface associated with the outside zone. And for the source, we could also lock it down to the address. So let's go ahead and use the subnet. We have an address object for that. That looks good. So traffic from the inside, from subnet 1010, being routed out the outside. And then for the server/URL category, let's go ahead and click on Add. And let's say we want to get in the middle of HTTPS sessions, which is TCP port 443. As far as the ports involved. And for the options, we want to say we want to decrypt it, and we want to use SSL forward proxy, and the decryption profile is the one we just created a few moments ago. And let's also, for the demo, let's log successful and unsuccessful SSL handshakes. And when they say SSL here, they really mean SSL or TLS. It'll cover both, and we'll click on OK. Now, before we move that from the candidate configuration to the running config with a commit, let's bring in our client before we've set up the decryption, and let's take a look at what the default behavior is prior to decryption. So here's our client once again. Let's open up a browser, and let's go to fast.com, which is a speed test from Netflix. Also, just a heads up, I have this Palo Alto Firewall plugged into a switch, and the switch ports are only 100 megabits, and that's why I'm never going to see more than 100 right here. Because the data plane interfaces on the Palo Alto Firewall, they're all a gig on this 440. So normally, if I was on a switch that supported a gigabit out here, I would also have closer to a gigabit performance. However, I digress because I want to show you here the defaults prior to decryption. So if we click on the lock next to fast.com, and this is Chrome, so from the drop down, I'm going to click here on connection is secure, and then where it says certificate is valid, I'll click there. And this is showing us the certificates issued to fast.com as part of Netflix, and the CA server is DigiCert. And if we go to details, the root CA is DigiCert Global, and the subordinate CA is DigiCert TLS RSA, and that's the one that issued the certificate to fast.com. But at the end of the day, it was issued by DigiCert. And what we'd expect to see after the commit is done is that it's going to look like to the client that this is signed by the certificate that was issued to the firewall from our enterprise CA. And because our client trusts that enterprise CA, it's also trusting the certificate issued to the firewall from the CA. So back at the firewall, we'll go ahead and do a commit and click on commit again. And we'll give that a moment or two to complete. So this little PA440 is one of the smaller hardware models. And so the commits with the current flavor 11.x, it currently takes sometimes 1 to 2 minutes for the commit to complete. And on higher end models, that time is going to be reduced. So that commit is almost done. We'll let it complete. And then we'll bring back in our client. So I'm going to click on close. I'll let that commit finish in the background. We'll bring back in our client. Let me go ahead and close the browser completely. I'll reopen the browser as a fair test. I'm also going to clear the cache. So the cache is completely cleared on the browser as well. I'll close it again, and then we'll launch it fresh. As far as our testing goes, let's go back to the same website, fast.com. So we'll launch it. So once again, we have our speed test with fast.com, and notice that we have a little bit of degradation here, and that's because of the little overhead of the firewall getting in the middle of the HTTPS session. So although to a user it may not be noticeable, there is additional overhead at the firewall. So if we go to the lock symbol here, and we go down to connection is secure, and certificate is valid, check this out. This is the certificate for forward proxy, and that's the certificate that the firewall used to re-sign this. And because my client trusts the issuing CA, it didn't have a problem with the certificate. So if we went to another site, let's go ahead and open up a tab here. And let's go to a website called badssl.com, which is a way to test certificate issues. And I'm going to click on a link here for a self-signed certificate. And now I have a warning coming back, and this is from the firewall, regarding a certificate error. So it's telling me that the status is untrusted. And if you notice here, we have a problem with the certificate here as well. So if we click on the not secure area up here and click on certificate is not valid, so it was signed by the forward untrust certificate. Again, the goal was to prevent the user from getting to a site when there is a certificate problem or an error. However, if we go to other sites, for example, if we go to eBay, for example, and we clicked on the lock symbol there and went to where it says connection is secure, and then certificate is valid, it's issued to eBay, but it's been re-signed here by the firewall doing the SSL forward proxy. And just in closing, let's open up one more tab and let's go to YouTube. So here we are at the Keith Barker page on YouTube, and if we click on the lock here, and from the drop-down it says connection is secure, if we click on that, and then click where it says certificate is valid, hold on to your socks. Look at this, GTSCA 1C3. This is not re-signed. Now one might say, well, why the heck is that? Why isn't SSL forward proxy working? And the answer, in part, is because Google a lot of the time uses QUIC as opposed to using TLS. And we can confirm that at the firewall by going to monitor and going to our session browser and take a look right there. And so as far as, okay, how do we prevent that? How do we make sure that we're getting in the middle of these sessions so we can analyze all the traffic? The answer to that is in policy, in our security policy, we can say, hey, no access via QUIC, with the ports involved with QUIC or with the application involved with QUIC. And that way, if that's not allowed, it will fall back to the TLS, which we can then get in the middle of. And for step-by-step instructions on how to implement that and verify that, please feel free to check out our content over at CBT Nuggets regarding Palo Alto firewalls with the PC-NSA and or the PC-NSE courseware that we have recently updated at CBT Nuggets. So in this playlist, we've done 3 basic things. Number 1, we did a factory reset on a Palo Alto firewall. It was a PA440. And here's that bad boy right there that we did the factory reset on. The second thing we did was do the basic configuration to allow user traffic on the data plane to go through the firewall successfully. And then as icing on the cake, we also did the decryption services so the firewall has an opportunity to take an honest look at the payload so it can implement its other security profiles. And if you missed any of the previous videos in the playlist, there's a link in the description which leads to the entire playlist itself so you can have easy access to it and grab any one you want. And of course, if you want to check out further details regarding Palo Alto, check out our content at CBT Nuggets as well. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you, my friend, in another set of videos very, very soon. Meanwhile, if you haven't yet done so, please consider subscribing so you can keep track of any new videos or updates that are released right here on YouTube. So until next time, have a great day.